somebody be dead for a cleric to bring them back? Do you know?
Volu, you have never done it. You are not trained in any way. You have, I would say, give me a history.
I mean, I just know that I've seen clerics bring people back after they died. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's a valid question, but Volu himself is just like, especially with a 9 as well.
So yeah, the only time you have ever encountered anything like this is maybe 6 years ago. There was a pretty big important death from somebody that your mother knew in the Feywild.
My dryad mother.
Yeah, your dryad mother. And you were taken to their what you thought was like their funeral, but then a bunch of casters cast some stuff on them and brought them back. You know they'd been dead a week at that point, but you don't know like the why or whether that was a special case or you just know that yeah.
I don't know what it's like here. If the worst came to worst, we'd have to go as far away as we can, and maybe we could get back in time, but I'd need to learn more.
I mean, if he got out, then killing Dante, I mean, it doesn't make any difference, does it? But maybe then he'd leave Dante's body alone if he was out, and then we could get someone to bring him back again.
It's plausible. Sounds like a good option C. If
I don't know.
Also, separate Aileni, you would know as well. You can do multiple alarms. You don't just have to do that, or you can do your. It's not concentration, so you can just.
Is it down to length of string or something?
Well, she needs as many tiny bells and pieces of string. Can't be any larger than 20-foot cube, but she can set a 20-foot cube there and a 20-foot cube there and a 20-foot cube. It just takes a minute. So as long as you're willing to put them out, and obviously you've got to remember you can't like. So if you put
I've only got so many spell slots though as well.
Yeah, it's still a first level spell, so you're still limited by your spell slots. But just it's not concentration is my point. So you could put one on your door, one on their door.
Okay, so yeah, we'll put one on each door and probably one on the window if there's a window.
Yep.
Because I can use 3 spell slots for that.
Okay.
It'll refresh anyway.
The one on our window is gonna sound an audible alarm.
Okay.
The ones on the doors would just be in my head.
Okay.
But yeah, and then I'm also then going to sit down and just say, we haven't really talked about what we found out earlier either. Are you okay?
I don't know. It feels so long ago being there, and yet I can still picture running through the trees. It's one of the few things I actually do remember. So to hear that they might all be gone, it's a lot to take.
Don't lose hope. I know that's easy to say.
Anyway, I'm stuffed.
I'm not surprised.
Hey!
Mark the date in your calendar. What timestamp are we on?
That would be.
Am I okay to
1:37:57
rest first? go, yeah, I'm stuffed. Would it be okay if I
Yes.
take the rest?
You rest. I'll wake you up in a bit.
I kind of like go into like one corner of the bed and kind of hunch up and
Yeah.
put my cloak on the side and instantly sleep.
Aileni doing anything else, or I'll just
Thinking. Remembering stuff.
I think
Wondering if she's ever going to get home with all these other things to do.
I think as you're sort of thinking and idly pondering, a few of your moths would just sort of not fly out, but just sort of crawl out along your hand and fingertips.
I would let them. I would sort of pick them up and let them crawl over my fingers.
And as you sort of hold them up, and it's getting to that sort of like 11 o'clock, 11:30 time, and you can see that it is almost a full moon, and the light of the moon is almost when they're in no light directly, the wings are very clearly there, but almost as the light hits them and they sparkle, they almost take on that spectral visage for a moment before fluttering.
I would sort of hold them in my palm and just say, "So what are you really?" If you're not here, is that me gone?
It just sort of flutters its wings before it sort of begins to fly lazily, taking a few swoops around before once again landing almost like on your hair, and sort of re-entering the spaces that they nest within.
How do they feel after everything we've just heard with Dante? And were they disturbed? Were they?
There was definitely fear in the beginning. They settled as you settled, but they still are uneasy.
I'm going to say out loud, very, very quietly, and again to them, "Oh, Volu, do you know of this place?" And I'm just trying to get a feeling, anything.
There's no sort of sensations or knowledge or recognition.
Do you know where Volu's been?
There's a flutter at the mention of Volu, but there's no like confirmation or recognition of like where he's been or what he's done or.
She's going to try and let them settle, do some deep breathing exercises, and think about a small furball girl playing in a garden.
Okay. As you all settle in for the night, you can all mark off long rests.
I was honestly wondering if you were going to be a dick. Do a charisma save.
I was worried when I mentioned, "Oh yeah, you'll get them back," and I just saw Liam's face. I was like, "Oh."
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned,
I have
Volu.
also set up an alarm around Volu, not Volu, Dante's bed.
Volu, you open your eyes and you are standing back in the grey oak forest that you recognize. You've had this dream a few times. It's almost like you said, that one memory that holds and persists as a dream. And you almost you can't remember why, but you remember that you needed to get home. Maybe it was for food, maybe it was for, you could hear somebody calling for you, but you begin running and running and running, and usually the dream ends with you what you almost don't. It's almost like the flashes of that was the day you ran into. For you, you simply tripped, rolled down a hill and hit your head against a tree. But when you opened your eyes, the flowers were different, the grass was different, the air smelled different. In that instant, everything that you knew was gone. And as you're waiting for that moment, you don't fall through anything, but you keep running and running. And the trees begin to, at first, grow bigger and bigger, and time seems to start ticking forwards as the trees next to you grow larger and larger, before again, all of a sudden, shrinking drastically as you see large swathes of the forest beginning to be cut down and misshapen and changed. Before you find yourself stood now in the middle of like farms and farms as far as you can see. You reach out and you touch the grain and the wheat that grows, that is almost ready to harvest. You turn around and see the mountainscape. In your head, that mountain has a forest in front of it. That's been that holding vision that you've held on to as direction in a way, in a place to go. Now just the mountain with a sparse crop of woods that have been left. And on the side of the mountain, a purple, pink pustule of rock, almost like a wound sticking out between the surface. And as you look closer, all of a sudden you feel a stinging on your hand, and look down and see pustules and boils, almost like an infection growing up your arm. Further and further, you feel it begin to sting and burn your whole arm, becoming coated in this purple glowing like fungus. And you begin to feel weak, and your run pauses to a stumble. And then a light and a hand takes hold of yours. And as you look up, you see Dante. Not the sorrowful and guilt-ridden man that you've seen before you over the last few weeks, but confident, emblazoned in fire, and his whole right side lit up in a glorious golden flame. And while the fire is intense, you don't fear it. And as you look up, they reach down, their hand still ablaze. And as you take it, wherever the fire touches, the purple infection begins to burn away. And the fire spreads over your whole body, and you expect to feel that same sting, but feel the comforting warmth before you awaken.
When I wake up, is Aileni awake?
They are. I would say that it's still before the time that they need to wake you. They would sort of. They're not like asleep, but they would sort of be, head on the side, sort of staring out the window. You'd be able to see them. They're not really looking in your direction.
But as I kind of wake up, I let out some sharp breaths, like see that I'm in the room.
Are you all right, Volu?
Yeah. I'm just a crazy dream. But inside, I'm like, what the hell was that?
Do you want to give me a deception and Aileni? You can either, if you think you would be suspicious, or you can run your passive. It's up to you.
Passive insight 14.
Nat 20. I've had a nat 1 and a nat 20 this episode.
Yeah.
Getting all of it.
Okay, yeah. So Aileni, seems just a crazy dream.
I'd say you've got a bit of time yet. Try get some more sleep.
think I'm just gonna try and sleep in the chair. Just a different position. And I'll
Okay.
grab my
My
cloak
chair.
and kind of sit in the chair and wrap myself in my cloak. And
Okay. I would head over then and get on the bed. Still awake, but stretched out now. That head in one corner, feet in the other.
Yeah.
and then kind of like feign sleep, but just trying to think in my head what has just happened, what could it mean? Why Dante?
And
All of it.
I think almost like those nights when you don't realize until the dawn is already encroaching upon you that you haven't returned to sleep. And you've just lay there thinking about all that is going on. But you do wake the next day. And for Ichi and Dante, you wake. Aileni, you will get the ping in your head, obviously, as they start to move around and wake up and such. And you stretch, and I believe as you wake up, you begin to hear chorus of trumpets and music and bits and bobs of bands playing. And
if they're already playing trumpets and we're supposed to be at the door at 8 o'clock.
So it's about 6:30, 7. This is definitely not parade. This is not full parade trumpets. This is almost, you can hear the local people playing. There are people already. You actually hear families and children being like, "Oh, let's get in position for when the parade turns up." You would know, Ichi, that it is usually with like 8 a.m., 8:30 that the parade will enter the city. You also know it is a good hour before it's going to reach the bottom of the crew, like maybe even longer, because they're not going at a quick pace. So even though right up at the top of the city, people are getting ready to greet the parade, you guys down here in the Crucible probably won't see it for another few hours.
Okay. I mean, we've paid for breakfast, and I know that Volu will be hungry again. That full belly won't have lasted all night.
With the dream, he's almost forgotten about food.
Wow. Okay. Aileni would
almost.
Aileni would stop the alarms and then just go and very quietly knock on the door and say, "You awake?" That's Ichi and Dante.
Oh, sorry, I've
knocked on your door.
They're not awake.
Yeah,
They're not awake.
Yes, we're awake.
You just hear me like with the gag.
I've removed the gag aspect of this. I'm taking that off. I'm not. I'm just...
what? As in just this morning, or was it like last night? When did you take it off? And what for?
You're not gonna win.
There you go. There's that snipped. What's that, like 1 hour 45?
I'm liking the little romance that's bubbling between.
Ichi pulls out their blade and just stands above Dante, still in the contraption. If I knew that this wouldn't burn down this entire city.
If only I could quit you.
I just can't quit you. If only it wasn't true.
I'm not gonna lie. If like Ichi and Dante don't have a romance at some point, what's a worse name? Secret Passions or Trauma Bonded?
Next time, I'm doing the flirting. I'm just warning you all. Next time.
Oh, don't give Chris you flirting. He'll be too happy with that.
Yeah.
I'll be
you try to calm
deep
him
into
down.
your eyes the entire time. I'll have to lower my seat.
But yeah, you get
Chris.
There is a knock at the door.
Which Ichi will open. Yeah, we're awake. Dante is already unshackled.
I
What
suggest we
point?
get some
You
breakfast.
just see him you see him shaving with his sword.
Probably a knife, because great swords are not sharp. Just saying.
Yeah, they're for breaking
Oh,
bones.
look
Right?
at me! I'm a DM who knows swords. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
I wonder how this day's going to go.
Yeah. But yes, are
Yeah,
you going full shave or just cleaning up?
Just cleaning up a bit.
Okay.
I would just say we're gonna head down for breakfast. They should be here at 8 a.m.
Wonderful. We'll be down in just a moment.
Okay. And then
Okay,
yeah, let's head down and remind Volu what food looks like.
Yeah, I think you get down there, and
As I start to smell it.
yeah, seeing you come down. There's also number 2 breakfasts. Any drinks for yourselves, guys? Please sit wherever you like.
Just some water for myself.
Andy.
Hot water, please.
Okay. They sort out the drinks, and you're able to sit down and get a meal. As you are eating, it's not busier in that people are in here drinking and doing, using the actual tavern, but the street is noticeably busier. The doors to the tavern are pinned open, and you can see families and people passing by, occasionally carts and other sorts of other vehicles, and the general movement and hubbub um, of preparing. You guys would hear that the parade ends here essentially. It'll come to its end at the Colosseum,
Okay.
and that's where they'll do the announcements and the beginnings and the kicking off of the festival.
Is there an actual time for that, Liam? Do we know?
It would be like midday, 1 o'clock.
Okay. So ages away, basically.
Yeah, this is it. Like literally, even though it's not that long until they arrive in the city, it takes so long for the parade to make its way through the whole city. And then it won't be like parade arrives and speech. It'll be, parade arrives, they say hi, there's talking and greeting and all those other sorts of things before they get up on stage and announce the beginning of the festival.
Okay. So yeah, Aileni's really quiet this morning.
Dante is also quiet this morning. But that's no shock.
Is everything okay, Aileni?
She sort of laughs, but like as well as it can be. I was just reminded last night of my own path, which I'd put on one side temporarily.
If it's not too forward, what is your path?
There's a very long pause.
Please,
And
if
you wouldn't need to roll an insight to see she's really like, how do I put this together into words?
if I've stepped too far, please feel free to say so.
No, you haven't stepped too far. But I don't really talk about this stuff. And she'll glance at Volu. There's sort of almost a not even to people I'm close to. Let's just say that there is someone very dear to me who is potentially in danger, and somebody else who doesn't deserve to live.
That sounds like two people in potential danger.
I need to rescue the first from the second.
I understand.
Sorry for being cryptic, but
Dante just leans forward. If you need help in this, you have my blade.
Yes, you've gone above and beyond to stick around with us, as I have done before. I will help you again, if you would like it, of course.
I believe your words are, and my.
I have a longsword. I don't wield an axe. I find them a bit too unwieldy.
Me too. Though this sword is huge.
Yes, I feel like you're compensating for something, Dante.
I'm surprised you haven't noticed.
I thank you both. They're both a long way away. I needed funds. It's how I got this. And she'd sort of gesture to her face.
You mean more beautiful?
Is that Chris or
It's the afraid.
It's the afraid. Yeah.
I'm just checking. I mean, say I rolled pretty well on persuasion. Oh, that was a 17, not deception.
Yeah. She just says, I think we have a number of things to do first, and they're in Ostval. They're not here. But thank you.
That, like, Dante just goes very quiet again and very uncomfortable.
Let's deal with the more immediate problems. But I do appreciate it.
You mean like Volu's trying to steal your soup?
It's slowly sliding across the table.
I thought I was getting away with it.
As you're having this interaction, there's a bit of just like oohing and ahhing as you sort of look out the front, and so it looks like a very, very fancy carriage, black and metallic adorned. It even has the wheels that are currently spinning. But as it pulls up, you also see the protruding cloud of water vapor and smoke that is coming off it. And you are able to see if you imagine somebody took the Aether Stream taxi and made it look like the princess's carriage in
Cinderella.
Cinderella, thank you. There aren't any horses pulling it, but it has like the placement that you could pull horses up to it. And it pulls up. A fine dressed orc steps out and just sort of announces glass carriage towards the glass estates for the chaotic embers. And then they just stand.
That sounds like us.
Certainly does. And before we go, Ichi will head over to the bar. Has there been a letter dropped off for an Ichi?
They have a look. No, nothing in there as yet. Sorry.
Of course. Thank you very much. And then Ichi will look at the others. Well, I suppose we should get going.
Let's go.
Okay, as you approach, the young orc sort of says, excuse me, do you have the letter that you sent last night?
Yes, I can pull it out and give it to him.
As you pull it out and give it to him, they open it up and take a look. They also then put their hand up at the top of the top left corner. They mutter something under their breath, and when they take their hand away, the glass insignia is now on the edge of the paper. Is it very, very good. If you would like to take a seat, and the motion for you to.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, but security, like, say, conscious for like something as small as this.
I suppose you wouldn't just want anybody jumping in, would you, if they weren't who you thought they were?
Mhm.
No, but as much as nobody would in anywhere.
Yeah. You are escorted into the carriage. There is ample space inside. They've almost widened it, so it's almost like a 3-seat across the back, 3-seat across the front. The young orc sort of steps up and sits in where you would sit to drive it. As it then begins tootling off. You are moving through the city for a good bit of time. And actually, as you move upward through the city, you begin to see more and more and more of the festival. As you move away up through the crucible, there's almost that finishing area that they're going to end the parade at. A lot of what is there is like food stalls, drinks, those sorts of things. They know that that's where everything's ending up. As you begin to move up, there's more of the entertainment. As you're moving up through the streets, there's different bands on different corners. There are craftsmen sort of showing off their wares, not for sale right now, but for future purchase, or to, informing them of where the market stalls are down by the Colosseum. You also would pick out, there are 2 different clear groups of factions. As you move through the Mythic Ward, you again see those purple ribboned members of the Lyrics, like almost bluey purple members of the Lyrics and Arcanum. And you also, however, though, as you enter into the Chantry, as you've been here before, it was normally quite quiet and calm. It is now a buzz with the just general energy here of excitement as people are out on the street. And you can see a lot more of a almost emerald green color being worn, either in wristband. They're not ribboned as like, the Lyrics and Arcanum have handed out ribbons. This is almost just like there's a necklace here, a band here. It's almost what you can get that is that color, rather than a formal handout.
And that's the verdant
The verdant circle.
circle.
Sorry, if you're still
no
describing.
problem.
Dante will kind of like lean forward in the coach.
I've been thinking. I think we should try to have maybe all 4 of us on one car. We all have abilities to use, and we don't want to use the abilities to affect the other drivers. As in us. If possible, maybe you've got that cloak. We can use, if one side has the cloak, it could cause issues for the other driver. Also, we haven't discussed what we actually want from this race. Are we going for the gold, or are you going for the favor?
I thought there was both. I thought the prize was both. We need to.
We don't know what the glass offer is yet, do we?
No,
We don't.
So I'm asking, what do we want more? So when we go into these talks with whoever,
Well, doesn't that also depend on what Madame Oracle will accept as payment for the debt that she thinks we owe her?
if we use that, she may have something else.
I mean, they may quite like a favor.
They may do. But then if you had something you wanted to use that favor on, per se, maybe you would want to keep it and then pay that debt off in a different way. These are just things that I thought maybe we should talk about.
As you're talking, the group, the car actually almost stops before it begins to turn off the main road and begins sort of taking tighter streets. As it does, you would all get a glimpse of further up the road, a large procession, like moving towards you. Currently in the lead of that procession is a almost like rows and rows of Andonite priests, led at the front by you would recognize the priest from the other night in their full adornings. And they're almost like leading the front of this procession. Behind the group of priests, you can't see them in full, but you know, like when there's it's not a float, but like when there's a float, and you can almost see the people that are above the crowd of people. You can't make them out at this distance, but there's definitely almost, and for Aileni, it almost looks like one of those floating platforms that were being used, but it's got like a large chair in the center of it, and there's people throwing like green confetti out into the crowd, and there is a general cheering, and I think you would all pick up that is the parade of the victor. The new leader of the Verdant Circle, who will be taking the Prime Minister's place by the end of the festival.
I'm going to quickly just go over and give a look to Aileni, and just get a telepathic note over going, do you think they could help with Dante? And point and kind of allude to the fact that when we first noticed that all the it's gone out of my head, the word, what they call the priests,
The Andonites.
Andonites,
Or the it's the Andonite is the name of the religion.
The Andonites are the religion of Astera, effectively.
Yes, they
Yeah.
worship Astera. The religion
Yeah.
is called the Andonites.
Andonites, yeah. So I'm just going to do that again. So as we see the Andonites, I'll just look over to Aileni and send a telepathic note going, do you think they could help with Dante? Nod if you agree.
She's going to sort of tip her head on one side and go,
And I'm going to check to see if Dante or Ichi noticed anything.
100%.
No, not with their passives.
My passive perception is 16.
Oh yeah, no. Then I think you would have definitely heard. You definitely would have seen Volu take an interest out the window, but there's no note. There's no note of telepathic communication really. So you would see that Volu sort of like looks to the window at the priests, and maybe even catch Aileni shrug, but it's not enough of a emotion to sort of. Not prolonged enough.
That'll be more of an insight to know there was communication of some kind.
Yeah, that's it. You see the shrug and you see the movement, but you don't necessarily know there was talking.
You could literally be like looking at it, being like, "That looks cool, isn't it?"
Yeah, exactly. Like, the car turns off down the side and starts to take some more back streets and through tighter areas that you can tell as the driver slows at points and has to squeeze through. This is definitely not the normal route they would take. But after maybe another 15, 20 minutes, the noise of the parade dies down behind you and you climb the run up to the Zenith Ward and eventually arrive at the Glass Estate. As you pull in, for those seeing it for the first time, this is probably one of the largest buildings in the city, bar the library and things like that. It's the largest residential building you've seen. It seems to be almost like it's 2 stories, but with like a third, like where it's a section, like almost like a tower, but it's not a tower, obviously. There is a large estate area, and as you pull up, there are 4 more of the finely dressed servants waiting to greet you, and you see Lady Glass and Thaddeus, who are obviously only Ichi know, standing there. Very quick to check, and I need to check probably Mum's notes. This is purposeful, but Thaddeus and Lady Glass are not the same.
no, I wondered that last week and nearly asked, and then
No, no, it is purposeful that they are not the same race.
Because I was like, in my head I was thinking, I thought they said they were brother and sister.
Yeah, I believe
But you
Thaddeus
said
is a
Thaddeus was a
tiefling.
tabaxi.
Tabaxi, that was it.
And what was Eleanor?
Hang on a minute.
What did I not say?
Hang on. We've got Hobo Dave. Lady Glass. Oh, great. I don't think I've said.
I don't
Mid
think you said
40s
what
to
race they
50s,
were.
long brown hair, sharp and intelligent eyes, very nice but functional clothing. I don't think you said what she was.
No.
In which
I had
case, you should-
assumed elf.
But I do
well,
remember
elves don't
there's
exist.
no
in-
Oh yeah, they
elf.
don't, do they?
But
Weird.
I remember when you said tabaxi, I was like, don't think Lady Glass was a tabaxi.
Someone was a tabaxi. I remember.
Yeah, Thaddeus
Thaddeus
got it.
is.
Thaddeus
But then
is-
also, if I never said, she might be a tabaxi, and I just never
With
said.
long brown hair, maybe, but
Yeah, like a
For,
mane.
if it's
for now,
purposeful, I mean, she could be
for now,
human, couldn't she? If she's
for now we'll bypass it. But
she obviously
you see,
ages, whatever
yeah,
she
you
is.
see, Lady Glass and Thaddeus as you're pulling up and the doors open. You can see that. I would say that those of you with the decent insight can tell that Lady Glass is giving a definite like aura of professionalism, whereas Thaddeus, it looks very impatient, is already sort of being like, yes, come on. Like they just want through with the showiness of it. But as you are climbing out, the orc says, my Lady Glass, may I present to you the chaotic embers?
And we will. Right. So yeah, Ichi steps out, gives a nod, steps to the side, allows everyone else out.
And then he just stands and looks.
Dante
Nods.
will like also bow and nod or whatever Ichi's just done.
Thaddeus will
go.
sort of raise an eyebrow and say, like, chaotic embers. Ichi, you did not mention you had quite an ironic name, really, considering you're going to use a cloud edge, and it starts muttering to themselves about. And you will remember, Ichi, you didn't tell.
I didn't mention anything about a team, no.
No, you did not.
Mm.
Lady Glass looks less confused.
Yep.
Yes, Ichi. I mean, I made the assumption when you told my brother here you would be staying at the Bloody Banner, and there is also a note around town that a team was looking for sponsorship. I did make the assumption.
You assumed correctly.
Well,
Luckily.
well, yes. Come on in. There is definitely that confidence, like, of controlling aura from Lady Glass. This is definitely a business meeting that they are dictating the run of moreover than. As you're entering, Thaddeus will sort of sidle up next to Ichi and my sister and formalities. Just some simple things, contracts to make sure you are happy with the service and we are happy with it. Well, once it is all done, I will need some measurements from you all as they sort of like also look towards Aileni, who's quite large. Are you all to be racing in the one vehicle?
I believe that is the plan, and Ichi turns around to like gauge everyone's reaction.
And as you're doing this, Lady Glass is like, Thaddeus, wait until we have talked details.
I think say again. Dante will look over. If I am the one driving, I think I could benefit from each of your different skills at different times.
I believe that would also be good.
It will slow us down. But
It will, but luckily we should have a slingshot.
But as the lady says, perhaps we should talk about the details first.
Oh, of course.
They lead you through the house. They're a grand open like foyer with large stairs leading upwards. You are led through like an almost like a library ballroom sort of place and into a dining room study. You can see that there are already 4 sets of papers laid out. Lady Glasser, please take a seat. Refreshments for any of you, water, wine.
Thank you.
I'll have some wine.
They motion, and one of the servants leaves the room to go and procure. If you would like to take a seat, I have mocked up some documents just in case our agreement is agreeable. Thaddeus seems to believe that our interests would be of mutually beneficial, mutually
Mutually
Mutual
benefit.
benefit.
Mutually
mutual
beneficial.
beneficent. Words.
English.
What did he think?
Yes, mutually beneficent. I still don't know if that's right, but I'm that's
Beneficial.
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 Mutually beneficial.
Who says she speaks English?
Well, we still don't know her race.
No, we don't.
Excuse me.
Thaddeus
What is
has
your race?
Thaddeus has
You
done.
can't ask that, Chris.
Yeah.
No.
Thaddeus has done quite a bit of convincing and has made the point that a win for us in this race would be greatly beneficial to our reputation.
She enthusiastically nods.
Nobody seems to think that a cloud engine could win this race. As such, you would be the only people in the race using such engine. We would be agreeable to sponsoring you for the race. You must, of course, the vehicle will be trademarked. And we would also ask that you each would wear or paint on something the marking of our company as to show that you are sponsored by us. This does not have to be on your official armor or something, a flag on the cart or something to really show who it is that is the vehicle that is to be leading. In return, you may keep the entirety of the prize should you win.
It's not a bad offer. It's not a bad offer.
Thaddeus has pointed out to me that even should we lose, our reputation cannot suffer any.
What is the top speed of your car?
As Thaddeus is like, well, she like
Shut
first
the fuck up.
before we get into those details, are you agreeable to the initial deal? Your winning has no matter on your, well, if you do not win, you do not win the prize, but we are suggesting a transaction of reputation and standing rather than any monetary, so that your payment is not reliant on your winning the
What should happen if the vehicle was damaged?
the vehicle gets damaged. We have she sort of motions over towards where the factory and labs are. We have many of these vehicles. I mean, Thaddeus assures me that the one we are using was one to be decommissioned anyway, not due to faults with the engine, due to other issues. But and again, Thaddeus tries to start, and she's like, "Not yet."
We will not be held liable though for any
Not at
damage
all.
to
Not
the
at all.
vehicle or any repairs that are required afterwards.
That is all in part and part of the contract. If any of you want to start looking through the contract, you can make me an intelligence roll. It is heavily legal jargon.
I'm on it.
So-
Ichi's not going near that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go.
Oh shit!
What
Aileni's
would be...
reading it, but she's pretending to understand from the looks of that.
Mm-hmm.
So whilst they're reading through it, I'm just gonna. So, what
just
would
check.
be
What
the
intelligence is it?
contract?
Am I?
Just straight intelligence.
Sorry,
I'll
go
just
on,
straight
Paul.
intelligence.
Type it in, Chris. Go
Yeah,
on,
go on,
Volu.
Paul.
So you guys are
Aileni
reading.
and Dante are reading through. I'm gonna go. So, what would you say would be a tarnishing of your reputation?
I mean, obviously, we would not want you to speak ill of the company. We would not want you to purposefully lose or make a mockery of our our vehicle or our company in general.
Is there
Outside of,
anything you wouldn't want us to do?
what do you mean as part of the race?
I believe that it's no holds barred.
That is the rules by standard of the ruling faction as it stands. You would be to take part in the race using the rules of every other member of the race. Now, obviously, we don't necessarily want to be seen as sponsoring bloodthirsty barbarians who kill people when they're already out of the race, but
Yes.
winning is preferable, yes. She gives a little smirk that you definitely feel that she definitely wants to win.
Yeah, so winning is preferable.
So, Dante, you read over this contract. Aileni, this means nothing to you. There's a few words
No.
in there that like Aileni, you can pick up. There is like the bit that's like for your services, you will, and they do say in there like you can have all rewards given as of the race,
Yeah.
and
I would say that from her previous life, she has seen contracts
Mhm.
and she's been in the room when this kind of conversation's been happening.
Yeah.
But actually, she's reading this and it's convoluted. Like the
Yeah.
language, it's like they've gone back 300 years and they've written it in such a way that you get to the end of the paragraph and you've forgotten what the first half of it meant. But
And has
she's been around contracts and she's been
Yeah, yeah.
around this kind of bargaining.
and as it's written something that is like maybe over 300 years,
Mm.
Dante, absolutely fine with that.
So
Yeah.
with a 21, Dante, you are able to check this over. You would see that there's nothing in here that immediately jumps out of you. It's all very standard. Like we as the sponsor will give you, you as the sponsee will do. There is bits in there about not besmirching their name. Don't know, I struggle with words in that. And also a clause of possible fine should your actions be directly opposing the company. It gives some
Right.
examples such as purposefully losing the race, unnecessarily damaging the vehicle. So, and again, like you guys getting out and setting it on fire and being like, yeah, this piece of shit's never gonna win.
Yeah.
They're basically saying if you do stuff that is directly against us, then you are liable to be fined and sued. But that is the only thing in there.
Is there any kind of form of tracking on the device? Because presumably they want to know where we are.
Are you asking that out loud?
Are you able to track us as we travel?
She hesitantly looks to Thaddeus. It's like,
As if we are going into the mines of the
well,
more
that is,
of
to be
more
honest, what we need to discuss once contracts are signed. Once everything is in agreement, we need to discuss how your vehicle, what it is going to do. For example, if there is 4 of you, I might need to remove either the armor or some of the armor, or maybe some weapons, or maybe we do not want to lose any engine power. So probably those 2 are your options. However, me and each have already discussed a hook and winch. However, we could go simple ballista. It does not have to be complicated in such. And I have also had some thoughts on. And again, he starts to rattle, and Lady Glasser, you've answered his question, Thaddeus.
No, he hasn't.
Well, basically,
I
we're not
asked,
going to
are we
know
able
till
to-
we're not going to know till we've signed, effectively.
Right. Okay.
Essentially, he's saying yes if you want it, but it's part of like there is limits to what he can put on. You get to decide whether it's a ballista or extra armor, or it's essentially if you imagine the vehicle has mod slots.
We
And
can
you
put a tracker on it, but we'll lose armor. Kind of vibe.
yes, essentially, or you can put an extra seating in, or
I'm just more
Right.
thinking, cool, we've got a car, let's drive out. Well, this will be faster than any horse.
yeah. I mean, they don't need to track you to magically track you.
Hmm.
True.
Okay.
As you can see, Thaddeus is desperate to get on with his work, but due to the company regulations and limitations, we must agree on this contract first. It does also state, which Dante, you all are only just picking up at the end, that you will not discuss current research and workings of the glass laboratory with anyone.
Yeah.
It is very
NDA.
strictly, yeah, essentially. Whereas some of it is like, don't besmirch our name, etc. This is like, do not discuss anything you see within the confines of the lab, essentially.
I mean, I'm looking over at Dante with my passive insight. Can I tell that he's understanding this better than I am?
Definitely.
Oh yeah. He is actually thumbing through and making notes of bits and.
So I would almost wait for him to look up and then be like,
Everything
Happy?
seems like it's in order. There's nothing here that looks like there's been hidden. If we fuck up, just make sure it doesn't impact them. We get the winnings. Don't be a dick. Pretty much the contract.
Volu?
I mean, we're not going to go and randomly kill people at any point, are we?
No.
And I'm going to kind of look at Dante at that point, just to be like, you do realize if you pop off, we might be in, like, we're already in enough trouble you popping off, but there's other connotations if we run, and we'll have these on our back as well.
Dante just glares at you.
I'm going to grab the pen or the quill or whatever it is that's there, Liam.
The knife, sign in blood.
Yes. You are each, if you are willing, able to sign. On each of your contracts, Lady Glass will also sign.
Yeah. Aileni would sign.
Dante signs if this is what we decided.
Each he
Oh
also
yeah, are we
signs.
actually like happy with this? I mean,
Well, I mean, it sounds like I say people.
sounds like a
already-
no-brainer, but we've not. Let's just like.
Yeah.
And she was to be clear, you do not need to. You would need to decide by and also I don't think I'm pretty sure it's 48 hours before you need to have signed up by. I think it is like the
Yes.
second, third day of the festival.
Yeah, so when the weaving stuff all starts, that's when we need to confirm
yeah.
that they
So
fall.
you do still have 24, just over 24 hours before
I
we
would
need to
like-
make any firm decision.
Okay.
If we are signing this now, at the earliest possible, I would like to start practice driving the car, whether you've got a test track or just simple moves. I would like to start practicing.
Well, I think this is a no-brainer, guys.
We do also need to take Volu's cloak, and that's up in the Bastion today, and we have some other appointments, but perhaps we could do that, and I don't know, Dante and Ichi, you could practice driving, and I don't know.
Well,
We can't be here all day, effectively.
Yeah, Thaddeus, and I do not need you all day. Yes, you could test drive something, but it is currently not together. I need it. I need at least.
That's why they wanted us to sign the contract first, because he's there like, I haven't actually built it yet.
I need at least one of you to come with me and confirm the details. And obviously, Dante, if you wish to, once it is functional, you are more than willing to test it. So we have multiple, much area within the labs. But yes, we do not need all of you, and the vehicle won't be solidly ready until this evening, if we're being honest.
Okay.
Yes.
So
do I actually know how to sign my name?
You're
yeah,
not Volu, are you? You're whatever.
Well,
No, he
that's
is Volu.
he is Volu, but it's whether you're trying to sign it as Volu.
No, that's what I
You
mean.
would know basic because you can read and write, so you were still taught to read and write. whether it is as formal as a V or Volu, or whether it's literally like a leaf, or you know what I mean, like it's purely up to you.
Well, I'd still sign it as Clovis, but
you all sign the papers. As you're signing, drinks are brought in, and it's like a bubbly, fizzy champagne thing. It's celebratory drinks for the occasion. Thaddeus is almost like, and which one of you is coming with me now?
I can come.
Can it be two who come with you? I would like to.
You are all welcome if you wish. I just know that you said you were busy. I need at least 30 minutes to confirm details, and then you can be off with your day.
I think we could all go for 30 minutes. And then if people wanted to stay behind, I want to make sure that Volu hands his cloak in and does his entry for the weaving contest. And Ichi, I presume that we'll need you later for our other appointment.
Yes.
We haven't got anything on that yet, do we?
We don't have anything on that just yet, but yes.
But we would need Ichi at that point, wouldn't we?
Yes.
Okay. They begin to lead you out of their estate. You would notice this time, Ichi, whereas last time you were led out the front and had to walk around, they lead you through an inside tunnel. So they actually, within their own home, they lead you down some steps and into a long underground tunnel that brings you up in, if you remember that very, very back lab that you met him in the first, Thaddeus in the first time, there is an entrance in there that connects the two.
Okay.
And you are led through and up into the lab where you find the scrap chassis of one of the cloud coaches, like the taxi. The only currently functioning bit is this glass and golden spherical device that is currently bubbling with water and almost every now and again just giving a of steam given off. So we are so out game, we are coming towards the end. But also I'm going to speed us up just a little bit for the ending bit.
Okay.
So almost giving in the cloak. We don't need to play that out, etc. Right? Like we can.
Yeah, there's no.
And I sort of want to make sure that we're starting next time at a point.
Yeah.
So over the next 30 minutes, you would be able to discuss the different possible options with Thaddeus, Aileni and Volu, after which you're able to head up to the Bastion, giving Volu's cloak for the weaving contest. As you're up that way, you would notice it's like almost like being on the streets the day after the party. Now that the parade has moved and it's like well deep into the Mythic and Forge Ward now, and you're like still up at the top, there's almost like all the leftovers, and you can see some people sweeping up all the green confetti that had been thrown everywhere. You are able to go and hand in your worked piece.
I'll hand it over hesitantly, and it just makes me a little bit more wary of the clouds. Like I've almost not got that protection, but I do hand it over.
And they say you will be able to collect it when you go up on stage for your final performance. Ichi, who would want to stay with? Who's going to stay with Thaddeus sort of all day and just be working on this thing? If you are sticking around, he will ask for your assistance. That there's none of the technical stuff you guys can do, but like hold this big piece of metal while I climb under here and screw this on.
I can lift, shift, and
this is it. Both you and Ichi are very strong and able to help move, maneuver, and bend in order to help them get this vehicle functional. Around 11:30, Volu and Aileni, you're making your way back towards the Zenith Ward. Ichi, in your mind, you hear it's strange. So first of all, I'm just going to speak this so you get this. But this comes out in different voices, different accents, different tones, different pitches.
Oh, I don't like that.
The word sets.
Okay.
So the Ichi. That one is said in Madame Oracle's voice.
Okay.
However, then immediately the others are just voices you've never recognized before. Timeline has advanced. We need to meet today. The presidential announcements should do fine. By the brass pole.
The presidential announcement should do fine by the brass pole.
So you know the presidential announcements are roughly an hour and a half away. They're supposed to be starting at around 1 p.m.
Where's the brass pole?
You would gather that they must mean a literal brass pole, because that is not a place. There's no location.
The brass pole.
Yeah, no. But what you would remember is actually there are in the section where the marketplace is outside of. So you know that pop-up marketplace has now been cleared, and that's like the area that they're going to use for the stage and the ceremony. There are poles that are set into the ground that normally the stalls almost tie up against and, like anchor themselves against. They're possibly referring to those. You've not looked at them close enough to see if they are brass, but that's the only sort of pole that you can imagine that would be around the presidential announcements.
Okay.
You would know you are able to respond.
Before I do respond, the presidential announcement happens around, 1 p.m.?
1 p.m. in about an hour and a half.
For about an hour and a half, or an hour and a half?
In about an hour and a half. You don't know how long they last. They can be anywhere between 30 minutes and an hour. It very much depends on whether they're going to do a very quick get ready for the new year and blah, 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 or whether they're going to thank all their people. And you know that, like, it depends on the kind of politician that you're dealing with, and you don't know that much about the elder that's taking over.
Wonderful. Okay. Ichi replies in their head. Very well. We will be there. Thank you for getting in contact.
Okay. And with that message, your vehicle being built and on its way, that is where we are going to end this week's session.
Oh my God.
Whew, the day of the festival finally here. Thank you very much for watching. As always, thank you very much for playing. If you are enjoying the story so far, hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell so you know when the videos are coming out. If you want to comment or let us know what we're doing wrong, what we're doing right, feel free to head over to any of our socials. We are on Facebook, X, Twitter, whatever it's called now, Instagram, TikTok, all of them at 1 in 20 TTG. If you would like, all of our links are down here. And as always, roll well. Bye. Nice.
Good game.
It's good.
Recording
It's good.
stopped.
We have a
Bloody
vehicle.
hell.